good stuff. And I'm sure you guys do that. Let me situate myself here. Initially, I had planned to wear a coat, like a jacket, a suit jacket, but it's been brought to my attention many times that a lot of students don't get to see a physician wearing a white coat. So I decided to bring my coat so you guys can visualize it. You can't be what you can't see. I didn't make that up, actually. This past weekend, I had the honor to meet Dr. Jocelyn Elders, who was the first Black Surgeon General, so I still have her this weekend. All right, so thank you guys for having me. It's definitely a privilege, it's definitely an honor for me to have a few minutes of your time, 10, 15 minutes of your time. Thank you to the students for having me. Thank you to the administration, the parents, Principal Hewitt, and Dr. Yellow, who actually has kind of helped coordinate all this so I can be here today. So it's actually been an interesting week for me. I've got to speak at a couple of different things. I got to speak to a lot of undergrad pre-medical students, a lot of physicians, and anytime you get to speak, it's really good because you get a chance to reflect on life and it's kind of grow through speaking. So preparing to speak to you guys, it was a really interesting process for me. The first thing you do when you're going to speak to somebody is you decide what are you going to talk about. And before you decide what you're going to talk about, you have to know who you're speaking to. So I looked you guys up. Nowadays it's really easy. I just go to Google and I looked you guys up. And this is what I found out about you guys. So Intel Award for Nixon's Best Math Program. You guys can't clap after everything else. We'll be here all day long. So National Blue Ribbon Award winner. Number 8 public high school in the country according to U.S. News. And when I saw that one, I had to go check it multiple times to make sure I wasn't like misreading something. So not number 8 public high school in Dallas, not number 8 public high school in Texas, number 8 public high school in the country. And then I just got here today, I actually found out that you guys are actually ranking number 1 in certain subjects across the whole world. So that's So, when I was preparing to speak to you guys, I thought to myself, wow, these people are smart. So, I went to high school, and I don't know if my high school is even ranked in the world than anything, I don't know. So, and I've been around a lot of very successful people in my life, right? So, I've presented to people at Harvard. I've done research at Harvard and presented to those guys. I've done research at Mayo Clinic and presented to those guys. I trained to do some of the best doctors in the world, and I don't think I've ever been in a room with this much potential. I mean, you guys have a lot of potential. You probably don't realize it now because you're amongst yourselves, and you don't notice it when you're amongst yourselves. You guys have probably more potential than any other room have actually physically stepped foot in. So those accolades kind of gave me an idea about SEM, but it doesn't really tell me who you are. But from those accolades, I can deduce who you are. So what I can tell from those accolades is that you guys are a student body of some of the brightest students in the whole country, and actually the whole world. You guys are really some of the smartest students in the whole world. I can tell that this is a place, a community, a team of teachers, parents, and administrators who really care about you guys and care about your success. And lastly, I can tell you guys are a family. You can't just achieve what you guys have achieved and not be a family and not care about one another. So I can tell all those things from you guys. So give yourselves a round of applause for all that. So after I read all your accolades and got to know you a little bit, I had a really hard time trying to decide what to talk to you about because you can imagine you guys are already all smart. You guys know a lot more than I probably ever realized at your level. So what do you tell a group of students, specifically the seniors who are graduating and going on to the next level of their career? What do you tell guys who are actually as smart as you guys? So I reached out to some of my mentors. I reached out to my family. I reached out to my wife. And a lot of people say, what should I talk to these kids about? And people had all sorts of different suggestions, but at the end of the day, we decided to talk about focus and the importance of focus. Let me ask you guys a question to the seniors. When you go to college, what's going to be your biggest enemy in college? What do you think would be your biggest challenge, your biggest enemy in college? I didn't understand anything except for from one person, and that was a young lady going to Mizzou, so. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I gotta show some nepotism to the board. But I think your biggest challenge, your biggest enemy when you get to college is going to be your freedom. It sounds really funny, right? Freedom's a good thing. But when you get to college, your freedom, that's going to be a challenge for you. up until this point in time, everything you've done, you've kind of been pushed by your parents, by your teachers. You've been pushed. You've had a regimen to follow. When you get to college, there's going to be a lot of free time. You have to decide how to spend that free time. There's going to be a lot of parties. There's going to be a lot of recreational events. And you have to kind of change your mindset to know what to do in those situations. So I think that freedom will be your biggest challenge, and what you guys need to do is learn how to focus. It's not just when your parents tell you to focus. That's not the same thing. You have to really learn the process of what it means to focus. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, focus. So I titled this Focus, Your Tickets to Success. Okay. Hey, everybody, look up here, look up here. So what I just do, I just got your attention, right? So if you're going to focus, the first thing you have to do is have an object of attention. Anytime you're going to focus on something, you have to have something that you're actually focusing on. You don't just say you're going to focus and not know what your goal is, not know what your object of attention is. Imagine this. Imagine if you have two people who are racing. They both start at the start line, Olympians. And they both start running. Racer one's running as fast as he can. Racer two is running as fast as she can. And racer one gets to their destination first. And a little bit later, racer two comes along and gets to the destination. Who won? Racer one? Well, it depends, right? It depends on what your destination is. What if I told you that racer two was running and running and running and ran in circles and ran to the crowd and sat down in the crowd? Whereas opposed to racer one actually ran to the finish line. Racer two didn't know what the object of the focus was as opposed to racer one. Racer one ran to the point where they were supposed to be going to. So if you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. That's very important to understand. So probably since I was 7 years old, I've known I was going to be a medical doctor. I didn't know that I wanted to be a medical doctor because there's actually a difference there, but at least know I was going to be a medical doctor. I grew up in a town outside of Houston, Texas, called League City, Texas, and I left there and went to the University of Missouri for undergrad. And when I was there, I said, I'm going to be a doctor. I know I'm going to be a doctor, so I need to perform well in school. So I told myself I'm going to get a 4.0 this first semester. I studied really, really hard, and I met this one young lady, and she was gorgeous. She was like the best looking thing I've ever seen in my life. So I guess it was part of my, what we call, I don't know what you guys call it now, but back then we called it running game. So I guess I was running game on her. Same thing. So I approached her, and it's really nerdy, but part of my game I was running on, I said, I'm going to get a 4.0 this semester. So I told her that, and she laughed at me. She was like, you're not going to get a 4.0. Silly little boy, he's not getting a 4.0. And I asked a couple of my other friends, and people I got to know there at college, and I said, I'm going to get a 4.0 this semester. They said, nobody gets a 4.0 the first semester. Nobody does it. I said, all right, well, I like a challenge, so I'm going to go for it. So I studied really hard, and one of the things that I did was, and so here's a habit of mine. It's not part of the normal 16 habits of mind that you read about, but here's a habit of mine. Successful people have external cues as to what their object of focus is. So I had an external cue for my object of focus. So what I did was, in my board, I had my bed at college, and above my bed, I had a big bulletin board. And I had all sorts of pictures. I had pictures of my family, pictures of my friends, and had a lot of little sayings on the bulletin board, like failure is not an option. Work smart, not hard. Strive to be the best. I had all those things on my bulletin board. And right in the middle of my bulletin board, a big blue letter said 4.0. So every day I woke up, first thing I see, I woke up, and I turned to the left and it said, 4.0. I come back from the gym, I played basketball, really heavy basketball growing up in college. So I come home and I open the door, get in my dorm room, it says 4.0. I go to bed, every day it says 4.0. You can't escape it, it's there in your face. It's an external cue to remind me, you were here this semester to get a 4.0. So I worked hard that semester, I had a lot of great mentors, and I had a good study environment. At the end of the semester, I got a 4.0. And I went back to that young lady and said, hey, you know what I did? I got a 4.0, I told her, and she believed me. She didn't know, so 4.0 was one of my objects of focus. My other object of focus was getting there, so I got there. So it worked. And 14 years later, she's my wife, and we have 2 kids. There's a lesson, guys. If you don't get a 4.0, you'll never get married. Remember that. So, number one, for somebody who wants to focus, the first thing you have to do is have an object to focus on. That's really important. So, as you're going to college, you guys really have objects. Really, spend some time to write down your goals, your objects. The second thing you have to have is vision. All right, everybody, eyes on me again. Now close your eyes. Everybody, close your eyes. Now what would you do if I told you to get up and walk to me? How would you get up there? Exactly. All that was a way of saying that you wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to get up here. You'd be tripping, you'd be falling. Well, you guys would get up here because you're right here. But everybody else, you guys would be tripping over people, you'd be falling. It'd be very difficult for you to get up here. And that's because I've taken away your vision. So the second thing you have to have if you want to focus like you have to have vision. So you have to have your object to focus and you have to have vision. Think about golf, right? Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods golfs, he's got a small little hole with a flag in it, a small little ball. His object of focus is the hole with the flag, and his vision. He has to use his vision to figure out how he's going to get there. How am I going to hit the ball to get around these trees? Where do I put the ball in the fairway? How do I maneuver? So vision helps you plan. That's the purpose of vision. When you guys are looking up at me right now, if you want to come to me, the reason you're looking at me so you can plan how you're going to get here. So habit of mind number 2, successful people plan. You can never underestimate the importance of actually planning things out. So my wife, the same young lady I told you about, for example, just 2 days ago, she sent me a text message. I was at work. She sent me a text message with our next 4-year life plan. So I'm just sitting there working, doing my business, and I get a text message. Okay, here's what we're doing next year. You're gonna get the job. We're gonna move. We're gonna do this to the kids. So we're planning ahead. If you come into my house and log onto my computer at home, what you see is that if you open my computer, you see that I have documents that actually have the different aspects of my life already planned out. I'm a doctor. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a husband, and I have plans for that for my whole life. It's already set up. I'm 30 years old. It's already set up. Of course, those things can change as you go along the process, but it's already set out. So, habit of mind number 2, successful people plan. And the third habit of mind I'll tell you guys about is capture. And the way I think about this one is if you're taking a photo, right? So if you have a camera, everybody has a cell phone or something nowadays. The first thing you do is figure out what your object of focus is going to be. So I want to take a photo of that waterfall. So I hold my camera and I use my vision to see it. But the third thing you actually have to do is capture it, right? So you have to click, you have to push the button. That's an action. So that's really important. The third thing is successful people, the habit of mind for that would be you have to take action. But capture is really important that you always act on things in life, right? So you have your object of focus, you have your vision, but then you have to act. It doesn't mean anything if you don't get up and do anything. So that's pretty much it in terms of the focus. Just a couple of things, practical pieces of advice for you guys going to college. You guys want to make sure you start strong. When you start college, you want to start strong. You don't want to start off on a bad foot. You don't want to go to college and try it and see what the parties are like before you get there. You want to get there, you want to make sure you start very strong. Get those good grades up front. I mean, you guys are all smart. Think about it like a train, right? A train is on a track. As long as you're going on the track, you're smooth, you're doing well, you got inertia, you're going fast. But as soon as you get knocked off that track, you're in trouble, right? It's hard to get back on that track. And once you get on the track, it's hard to get back going again. You want to start strong and keep on going strong. A couple pieces of advice that I did when I was in undergrad, which worked very well for me. One of the things that I did was I always sat in front of the class. Especially if you go to a big university, always sit in front of the class. And I'm going to do a couple of things for you sitting in front of the class. The first thing that I'll do for you is it'll let the teacher recognize you. So you're sitting in front of the class, the teacher's going to see you. Like right now in this auditorium, I'm going to remember these kids, what you guys look like. So if I see you on the streets, I'll remember. Because you're sitting in the front. Those are the people you tend to remember. And when that happens, you form a better relationship with that person, with the teacher. The other thing it really allows you to do, which I think is even more important, is it allows you to block out the distractions behind you. When you sit in front of the class, you can raise your hand up and ask questions and not worry about who's sitting in front of you. So you can ask questions and be confident about the questions because you're not thinking about the other 50, 60, 70, 100 people that are sitting in front of you in the class with you. The second thing you should do is always go to your professor's office hours 1 week before your tests. So every test that I had, I would go to the office hours 1 week before the test, whether or not I had questions. I would just always go, and I have a little list of questions. I'll make sure that I ask the questions that I had, and more so to get answers, but also just to form that relationship. Because a few years later, I knew I was going to have to come back and ask them for my reference. So that's why I formed those bonds. And then the third thing, get mentors. You have to get mentors very early. It's very important. You don't want to go to college and not have any mentors. Because if you don't have a mentor who can tell you what your object of focus is and help you with your vision, you end up going down the wrong path. That's very difficult. That's very, very important. And this is more geared towards the pre-medical students in terms of getting mentors. This is a plug for the organization that I run. It's called DiverseMedicine.org. So students who wants to go into the medical field, what we do is we give you guys mentors, physician mentors, medical student mentors. We have a whole list of things we do to help you guys get to your destination, make sure you actually get there. So when you guys get to college and you start having all these distractions, people saying, come out to this party, come do this. I want you guys to remember to this day, think back to this day, and just remember my voice to say focus, focus, focus. That's going to be your ticket to success, it really is. And it's customary, when I sit down, everybody's going to want to clap and clap for me and everything like that. But don't clap for me because I've only done 10, 15 minutes. So when I sit down, I want you guys to clap for yourselves because you guys have achieved more than people like me ever. I didn't achieve what you guys achieved in high school. So clap for yourselves and be proud and take that with you on to college and keep on this.
Thank you for watching our videos. We have 2 things that we want you to do. Number 1, please leave a comment below or question so that we can try to make videos to address them. Or email us at info@diversemedicine.org. Number 2, please subscribe to our channel, and that way we can get the videos out to as many people as possible. Thanks for watching.